morning everyone. Today we're going to discuss about positioning and layouts in CSS, and besides that I want to go into something more advanced, like discussing about principles of responsive design, and also go a little bit into how to actually write CSS that is well written, like using BEM or maybe using atomic design. And besides that we're gonna also go into Tailwind at the end, so stick with me. Alright, so let's start. So basically here is the last project that we worked on the basics, and let's run this and see how it looks like right now. Give it a finder, open that. Okay, so this is the to-do list, okay? So basically it's what we had before. Now I want to talk about the positioning. So let's first make a new division, and let's call it position basics. Okay, I'll make this as min height, and this is just for me. Wait a second, min height, perfect. Okay, I pushed that below here so that we can work on this place here. Okay, so now when we think about positioning, it's very easy because you need to think about 4, maybe 5 main layouts. So for this, so first is the static, which is let's make a div static class position. Actually let's go with the style here, so we're gonna write some inline styles into this part. All right, so let's write here style static, style position static, okay, like this. So basically in this case now nothing is happening to this. Let me actually go back and delete this and this part as well. I only want to have the height there. Good. So I have a static position here. Static doesn't have any specific kind of a change, like it doesn't show anything with this. It's just a static position, so basically it's a normal one. All components have the static position, and this is the simplest one. Let's go and make now position relative. The relative position is a little bit different, because when you have a relative position, you have the position relative to the parent. So basically now, since I am here and I am into this min height view height, which basically has the whole 100 view height of the viewport, so basically the whole page. Now when I'm with the relative, I can just come here and add like top 50 pixels, and now it's gonna push it down from the top 50 pixels down. And I can also add like left, right. Here is with the next ones. Left 50 pixels, and since it's left 50 pixels, it's taking the place where it started and it's pushing it in the right for the 50 pixels. So this is the relative one. Now we have a little bit more complex ones, like the absolute fixed, and we also will have the sticky at the end. So basically I can do sticky here, but let's comment those two. So we have now the absolute. Absolute is similar to relative, since it also has actually all of those have this part, like you can add left, top, right, bottom, left. So basically all of those around you can add here. And now when we check for the absolute, you see it's taking the absolute from the last position that was relative. So now if we want, as you can see here is absolute, but it's absolute to the body, because there is nothing to hold the absolute position. So now if we want, we can do something like this. So we have this relative position here, and let's give it a width 100 pixels, 100%. Okay, so now it's full width. And to this one we can also like this. And to this one we're gonna also add it already has the position relative. Now within this division we can add the position absolute, and watch this. Now it's changed. It's gonna use the last position relative, and it's absolute to the relative position now. So basically, if we are to inspect this, we're gonna see that we have the position relative, which is basically the whole component here, the whole division, and it's absolute to that relative. Let's also add the color so we can see more clearly. Background color, this is good. Okay, so you see this is the one. If we are to take this out, it's gonna look like this. So basically it's on the body. Let's add to the body class, actually no, style, background color, and have something like this, black. Let's make it more just for this. Okay, now it's nothing at all. Red. Okay, so you see it's absolute to the body, and here when we put it back, it's gonna be absolute to the relative position. Okay, now it's in here. All right, let's remove this. And besides this, we also have the position fixed, and those two will require a little bit of height. So let me show those in a different way. So we have this, the relative and the absolute. For the absolute also, let me, if you change from the left to the right, it's gonna go into this part. So you're gonna have it here instead of the left side. Let's remove this and this. Okay. So you're gonna see it's about here right now. And if you put like, let's add height, 500 pixels. And we go here and you see we have top. If we put bottom, it's gonna put it in bottom. We have bottom right 0 0. Now if I add here like 100 pixels, it's gonna put from bottom to, it's gonna push it on top a little bit with 100 pixels starting from that position. Okay, and usually if you want to center a div, this is a way to center a div. It's like you have the position absolute within a position relative, or whatever it is. It can be on the body itself. And you also go with left 50%, top 50%, and then you transform it and you translate minus 50% and minus 50%. This is minus 50% on top, and this is minus 50% on left. So basically it's gonna push it on absolute on the middle. And let's also add background color to this, and let's make this red. And yeah, you can see it like that with 100 pixels. And let's also add the height, 100 pixels. Okay, so it's like this. Okay, so this is how you work with the absolutes. And now let's go with the fixed position. But with the fixed positions, I'm gonna also do something like, let's take those out, and I'm gonna leave the sticky. Let's put it on top, left 0, and let's add a background color of blue violet, height 100 with 100 pixels. Okay, so now I have this one. When you have a fixed position, let's add a div. We need more height within the page. Actually, let's go in the main.css and that to the body mean height 400 view height. Okay, so now we can scroll. The fixed position is always choosing a side where it can sit on, and basically you can scroll with that. So as you can see, we have this fixed. So basically usually when you go to other pages, you create like let's say a navigation bar, or maybe a go back up button, or any kind of item that you want to always be there on the page. You can use the fixed position. There is also the sticky position. This is all for the fixed because it's similar to the absolute. It's just sitting up there. And there is also the sticky position, and this is interesting, and I've seen that in many places. This is what I recommend on using instead of fixed, because when you use the fixed position on the navigation bar, let's say you want to have a height, but if you have the sticky, it's gonna have the height itself, and then it's gonna push with the scroll as well. So let's have the sticky. Let's put this, I'm gonna make like some spacing between them. Plus min height view height. Okay, that's gonna have some items there. Let's make this background color cyan and height 100 with 100. Okay, so we have this here. Okay, but this sticky needs to stay. I want to put it somewhere around here after the to-do list. Now it's going on the bottom. This is well, as you can see, if I go on bottom and I scroll on up, since I put it on the bottom 0, it's gonna go sticky to the bottom side. But if I come and put top, it's gonna, I'm not gonna see that here, but when I scroll down I see it here. And actually let's put it 100%. So we're gonna see it like this. And now when we come here and when we scroll, it's gonna stick to the top because it's sticky basically. And one more thing about the positionings is that you need to understand the Z index. So basically, as you know, there is let me see if I can draw it to you. So you have the oops, X, you have this part like X or Y. All right, let's see if I can make it. So basically you have the X or Y, let's say 6 like this. Okay, and then you have another one which is basically the Z. So this is the plan, and you know you have left right, which is X, top to bottom, which is Y, and then you have this one, which is Z. And this is the Z, the three-dimensional way of thinking of the layout. So basically now here, as you can see, we have the absolute here, but if I go to the code and within the absolute I just put Z index 0, actually -1, it's gonna go below the relative and we're not gonna see that. But if we go here and put like 1, it's gonna come on top of this. Also, as you can see here, we have the fixed and the sticky. If I go on the fixed one and put Z index 1, it's gonna go on top of this, and you need to think of it as layers, because what we're doing with web design is just layering components one on top of each other, and that's basically positioning in CSS. There are many other ways of checking this. I would recommend you guys come to the Waitress schools, because this is the most it's gonna explain everything on how it works maybe better than I am, and you can just check around here. This is the place that I also learned positioning. Positioning is very important because you're gonna have lots of designs that you need to layer properly, so that you know how to build the components well, and in the end it won't take too much time. All right, now let's go to the positioning back here. I'm just all right, and the next thing that you need to learn to understand the basics well, besides the positioning, let's create another page named displays HTML. Let me on this one. Okay, it's empty now. Let's just copy this and put it here, and we just remove everything until here. Okay, perfect. This page. All right, so we have the displays now. The most used displays that you're gonna see are inline, block, flex, and grid. So let's say div. Actually, let's do an inline. Oh, we don't want this one. Let's just go with div. So let's say it's class. Let's go with the style, the actual style. So we style like this, display inline. And the inline display is basically, think of it as a text, so you can have a lorem ipsum. So you have this, and all it has is just showing it in one line, and you can add to this, like, let's say padding, 20 pixels or something, and it's gonna add to that. Let's add some coloring to that to be more precise. Background color and white, it's okay. So you can see this. So it's basically, think of it as when you want to use some text, or you want to have like a button or something like that, and besides the inline, we can use like let's say div style and inline. No, let's go with the display, not this one, block. All right, so display block, it always starts with a new line. So basically the difference between the inline block and the block is that the inline is not starting a new line, but the block is starting a new line. It's quite similar. So you can come to this one and also add like background color. Let's make it beige. It's quite similar. Let's do another one like that. And this is inline. Okay, good. So this is the block. So as you can see, it started a new line here, and you're gonna have display blocks on most of your components because that's what you're gonna use mainly. But on the next side is if you want to use something advanced. Let's say you want to have like an item on the left and then an item on the right. You can use the flex. So let's have here components, hey2. As you can see, you have one besides each other, and if you want to just stretch that, you can use the flex properties like justify content. You can do center if you want to center it, and now you have the components here, but you see there are two items that are sitting on the center, and I think you can also add the padding between them if you want to modify them a little bit. But what you're gonna use mostly is space around, or space around is basically adding is pushing the content to be in the middle depending on the space between them, and then you have the space between, which is just pushing them between each other. So it's gonna look like this. This is what you're gonna use most of your time. And besides this, you also have one which is display grid. So let's go with the grid. Div plus display grid. Okay, wait a second. Now I want one rule of thumb is that when you're using display flex, that's when you want to use something that is let's say more simple. So flex box is just for simple components, and grid is for more complex alignments. Like let's say you want to have two items on top and then three items with on the bottom. So under that, now we have this part. Okay, so let's say after this we do like we add a grid template columns. So basically this is gonna create yeah, I didn't know why this didn't work. It was because I didn't use the style. I was using the cluster instead of the style there. That's why it wasn't working. So yeah, okay. Now as you can see, we have the grids here, and because we added here like the template columns and the rows, basically you're thinking of this is the columns and these are the rows. So left right is the rows, up down is the columns. We can also add more if you want. Let's add one more here. So we can take this and do like this, and you can do very nice and complex designs. Yeah, so you can see here we created like a calendar if you want to from this. Basically what you're gonna think about, I think I saw a very nice layout, flexbox versus grid. It's always like this image right here. Basically you want a very simple layout, you just use flex, and if you want a very more complex layout, you use the grid. So basically it's this one. Okay, and basically after you learn the positionings and the layouts and how to put more things together, then you need to learn how to actually use those properly. Now we just written some bad stylings here, but this is not usable at all because it's gonna get very clunky very fast. So we need to go into ways of developing this properly. I'm just gonna use the AI here to tell him just add those in main.css. Actually, let's create another CSS class, displays.css, because I don't want to the displays.css as classes styles. I want to add those, so I won't take too much to implement them. Okay, let's wait. It's basically gonna take all of these stylings from here and adding them into the CSS, and it's gonna also create here modify the styles and just name them as classes, of course, and it also adds the displays.css here. Good. Now we have the elements here. As you can see, it's still working. The only thing that we need to think now, we need to talk, is as you can see, the way that he did the classes is you have a block container, an inline container, a flex container, and a grid container. This is kind of usable. It's very good if you have like a small project. Like when you come here, you see you have the grid container. You can take this and you can duplicate it, and you're gonna have the same results. So if you come here, it's gonna work the same. As you can see, this is the duplicated one. But when you have like a big project, let's say you're gonna build something like a big e-commerce or a big application, naming your classes like this is not necessarily proper. And what you're gonna meet is that you're gonna have like components. So let's say in this, I'm not gonna create like components that can be called in the project, because that's you need to use React or Next.js for that or something else. But the main idea is that when you name your styles, you can name them in such a way that it's more unique to the component itself, and that is by using the BEM classes, the block element modifier. So basically, as you can see here, BEM is a methodology that helps you create reusable components, and it's basically using this one. This is the classic CSS, and this is how it's gonna work when you add the BEM classes. I recommend you guys to read about this, because this is gonna help you a lot into developing like really good stylings for your components. And besides that, this is good to know, there is also atomic CSS. So let's see, I think this one was it. Okay, no, not this one. Yeah, not this one as well. This says it's atomic, but it's not this one. Yeah, so I found this a really good post about the difference between the BEM and atomic CSS. So the way with atomic is that you're gonna define your components by being really small atoms, and then they more atoms together are gonna create like a molecule, and a molecule, more molecules together create an organism and such. So you can create templates and pages. This is very good when you create like let's say you have a design system for a website, and that design system is pretty complex, and you need to create the whole components in a way that is usable for the whole company. And yeah, I recommend watching this one. I'll add it down in the description. And besides this, this is like the ways of working with the CSS, but in the world of website development, you're also gonna find like Bootstrap, So things like Bootstrap, and Bootstrap is basically just gonna give you some classes that you're gonna use. I used it a lot when I started. It's gonna also help you with implementing the layouts and everything. Nowadays I just create it from scratch because it's easier for me to um, work with that. But yeah, you can watch Bootstrap. If you don't like Bootstrap, you can go with Shadcn is more popular direction, but this is it's a little bit different because it's a component library. uh, and I saw other people using MUI. So basically you can go with material UI design, and this is very good. I built many products with this part. Or the most used right now is Tailwind CSS, basically this one. And the Tailwind CSS is a whole another story, and I quite enjoy working with this one because it's giving you the possibility to create the components from scratch that are pretty reusable, because you're writing utility classes. As you can see here, you have the color here is the background slate 100. It's rounded, so basically see it's a little bit rounded, and now it's just modifying the style to custom to a new design. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to do that with just utility classes, and that's what I'm using on my all of my projects right now. There is also something that is gonna come out which I'm waiting for. I think it's called Style X. This was developed from the Facebook, and this is gonna be a lot better than Tailwind UI, but until this gets around, I'll just be using Tailwind CSS. Okay. And I will not make a tutorial to Tailwind CSS right here. I was just explaining things, but you can see a lot of the components on how they are built. Let's see if we have any kind of components here that we can see the code as well. So you see, this is the layout. It's using like flex between those two. And when we go to the code, you can see here, it's using flex, it's using the justify between, and everything around. So basically what you need to learn to be very productive on the front end, just for the style perspective, is go learn a little bit of CSS, go learn the positioning, learn the displays, the layouts, and yeah, you need to learn about some tricks and tips for this. So basically go practice some katas or something, I don't know. Just build something with CSS until you feel that you are confident with that. And afterwards, go with Tailwind CSS, because I think this is the right way of actually writing very good code. And just start from there. When you get to that place, I believe that you are a very good designer, let's say, into that context.